and welcome to the Bullcast Podcast. I'm Katie Pickler, and with me today is my co-host, Court Winsett.
Some people have called me a thoroughbred.
Oh. And there's the opening bell. And they're off to the races. So we are coming at you on the Thursday before a big weekend. A huge weekend that has been around for 147 years, I think now.
144.
Well, there was 144 consecutive years of it, but this will be the 147th. Of course, we're talking about the Kentucky Derby. So some call it the Run of the Roses, but this is the most exciting 2 minutes in sports history, or some call it the fastest 2 minutes in sports history. It's a great time. So we wanted to talk to you, of course, about gambling.
Yes, because horse races, there is the whole betting part of that.
Of course. That's a big part of it for sure. We also have a special guest on this episode.
Ooh,
yeah. And it's not Cam. Sorry. Cam is, of course, on this, but he's not a special guest. He's always with us. So we have Lee Guest from Marvell, Arkansas. He actually is also my cousin, but his most important job is he is actually mayor in Marvell. So Lee, give everybody a shout.
Hello, everyone out there. Hopefully you can hear me well. And Cam, I'm going to give you a shout out first. Hello, Cam.
hey Lee.
Hello, Court. And hello, Katie.
Just to be clear, Lee is coming into us via phone. We've got a new setup where we can get guests in by phone now. So he's our first guest that is coming in by phone. And you may have heard Katie said in her introduction, his name is Lee Guest. That's not just like we're adding in the guest part as some sort of secret pseudonym and not giving you his real name. His last name is Guest, and he is our guest. Be our guest.
Guest.
Okay.
Katie, reel us in, please.
So, with talking about gambling, let's go into our top 5. It is our top 5 movies about gambling and betting. So, I'll start off with mine. I'll admit, I feel like I've seen a lot of movies that have gambling and betting in it, but realized when we were going through this list that I haven't seen a lot of the big notorious movies that are main focused on gambling and betting. So, my top 5 would be, number 1, 21. This is the MIT kids where they are actually counting cards. I think Kevin Spacey's in it, and yeah.
That kid from across the universe?
Yes, that kid. Yep. So, number 2 would be Maverick. I don't know why, but I was oddly obsessed with this movie when I was younger. Jodie Foster, I guess because it's the whole like old kind of Western type thing, and they're on the riverboat, and it's a scandal. I love it.
We don't get a lot of Westerns nowadays. We get one every few years, and it was a glitzy glam kind of polished Western type movie with funny in it. So
well, of course, yeah. Okay, and then of course the list has to have Casino, and I'm talking about the 95 Scorsese with Sharon Stone in it. Great movie. Very much when you talk about gambling, you talk about Casino.
Yeah, it was the real mobster Vegas. I mean, that's what it focuses in on, is that those years when Vegas was Vegas, like
Vegas,
mobster
baby.
Vegas.
Okay, number 4 would be Ocean's 11. I love all the Ocean's movies, but this one is, The House Always Wins. George Clooney, Brad Pitt, all those guys, they are trying to take over the casinos, and it's just a great movie if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And then my last one on the list would be kind of a funny one. Vegas Vacation. Yes, Clark Griswold, he's not doing Christmas anymore. He is in Vegas, cutting loose, and it goes about as well as, Christmas goes. There's lots of bumps in the road, and it's an interesting, fun story. And Cousin Eddie shows up at the buffet in the casino, so,
It's been a while since I've seen it. Didn't the old man, drop his... Was it a lottery card at the end?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in a little bit.
Okay, in the vacuum. Okay, okay.
Oh, yeah. Because his luck changed a little bit that day. Okay, Court, what are your 5?
Okay, well, I'll start with a twofer. So my 5-4 combo is The Hustler and The Color of Money. Of course, The Hustler was a... Paul Newman. Okay, sorry. The Hustler was a movie that starred Paul Newman, where he was a pool hall hustler, and And Color of Money it was technically a sequel. I mean, it was years and years later after The Hustler, but it was still technically a sequel. The same guy that Paul Newman played in the first film plays a guy that now basically runs liquor, and he takes on a protege played by Tom Cruise, and they go around and hustle some, and then it's fun. I like them both. I'm partial to The Color of Money because I saw it first, I think, and it wasn't until much later that I saw The Hustler. So number 3 would be Casino Royale, and Casino Royale is, obviously there is the huge gambling scene between Bond and his nemesis in Casino Royale that is just pure unadulterated fun. If you like watching that kind of thing, I mean, what he does in that scene is fantastic. And
was that one set in Monte Carlo?
Yeah,
I think so.
Plus, it has one of my favorite Bond girls, Eva Green.
Oh yeah.
I think basically whenever you see gambling in Bond, isn't it always Monte Carlo? It seems like he's always.
Well, that's the gorgeous place. If you're going to go to a casino and lose all your money, do it in Monte Carlo at least.
Sure. I mean, I can't imagine that he's going to. Well, he's certainly never gone to any of the American casinos. I don't know about any of the other
oxygen tanks.
You mean he hasn't been to Tunica yet?
Okay, and then my number 2 is actually, I don't know why I bring this movie up all the time, and nobody ever wants to chime in and say they love it too. But I really love Bugsy. Bugsy was a Warren Beatty film, and Warren Beatty played Bugsy Siegel, who was this guy who had this brilliant idea that he was going to basically start a gambling mecca out in the middle of the desert, and he got his boss to give him some money so he could go out there and start a casino. And it really doesn't focus a whole lot on the gambling elements of Vegas, so much so as it does Bugsy Siegel's drive and attempt crazy sort of almost tilting at windmills kind of crazy pursuit of this dream of getting a casino started in the middle of the desert. But of course he obviously succeeded if you look at Vegas today.
Yeah.
And then finally, my favorite gambling movie is actually, I don't know, people that really gamble a lot may hate it. I don't know. I don't know if the card play is realistic. I don't know if the stuff that the main character does in terms of reading people is magic, or if people can really do that. But it's a movie called Rounders. Matt Damon plays a guy who's kind of a savant poker player, specifically Texas Hold'em. And he's I don't know, it's just brilliant when he'll walk into a room where some people who are not pro poker players are playing poker and read them all and tell them all what cards they have. And then the scenes between him and John Malkovich playing against each other are some of my favorite acting scenes ever. So I don't know, I love it. It's one of my favorites, but that's my number 1.
Okay, Cam and Lee, what are we forgetting?
Seabiscuit. No, I'm just kidding. I've never even seen Seabiscuit. I was trying to think of a horse race movie.
Seabiscuit is a great movie, though. I will give you that.
Yeah.
And a book. It's actually the last book I've read over the last 30 years. But Rounders was on my list. So good save there at the end. But there's 2. There's one that is fairly new that really kind of hits the, I don't know how to explain it, the bookie end of it, sports betting. And that's Uncut Gem with Adam Sandler.
Yes.
I've heard about this, yes, but I have not seen it yet, but I need to watch it. I've heard some amazing things about that movie.
Now there's some outlandish stuff in there that probably doesn't happen to the normal betting person, but that movie is pretty spot on for the very serious gambler that, has the problem and all the steps he goes through to, get to the next bet, basically. So it's a pretty down to earth movie on the sports betting side of things.
Oh, you said there were 2.
Yeah. Well, there's another one that's called, which I haven't actually seen it. I've seen trailers for it, and I haven't really gone to see it. But it's a Ben Affleck movie, Mississippi Grind. Yeah, it's about a guy that's kind of down on his luck, and he meets Ben Affleck, and they hit the Mississippi River boat gambling places, and have this big scheme and winning money, and I don't know. It had a good trailer, but I haven't seen it yet. But,
So James Bond may not have been to Tunica, but Ben Affleck may have.
Yeah, yep,
exactly.
Have any of y'all seen? Have any of y'all seen Molly's Game? Because I've heard good things about it, but I haven't seen it.
No, it's on my list to watch, but I haven't seen it yet.
It's like so many other movies. It's on my list. Just so someday I'll get around to it.
So since we are right here with the Kentucky Derby, I do want to throw out there that you already said it, Court. The betting is one of the most historic parts of this. That you have the races, and that's so important. But it all goes hand in hand. You have your mint juleps, you're betting, and you're watching the horses. That's just what you think of. There's a record 165.5 million were wagered at the Kentucky Derby in 2019, and this actually was the year that I was there. David Pickler and I went to the Kentucky Derby. It was an awesome experience. I really knew nothing about horse betting at all, and so we went and I just played around a little bit, and I picked the horses based on their names and what I liked about them. I think I ended up winning like $50, but nothing to write home about. But the big thing that happened at that is if you were in the stands, you saw, again, the fastest 2 minutes. You sat there and watched it, and you thought that Maximum Security won. We all in the stands, it was raining, it was disgusting. You saw the horse, and you thought he won. So it was just like this flood of everyone throwing their tickets up in the air, and they fell down and all got soaked. And then it was a good 15 minutes or so. I had people texting me saying, he didn't win. And it was because that's how long it took for the people in the stands to actually realize that horse was disqualified. And County Horse won 65-1 odds versus Maximum Security that was at 9-2 odds. So that was a huge betting upset. I mean, probably, I'm sure it's in the history books because that was crazy. But you watch these people throw their tickets up and because they thought it was done and it wasn't.
Interesting thing. I'll just throw this out there. We, Katie, you and I both being basically Memphis bound, or we've been here our whole lives. Horse racing is not big around here at all. But horse racing, I think, whenever I have seen pop cultural references to someone who has a gambling problem, it almost always seems like it's someone up in the Northeast that's got to go to the tracks because they've got to bet on the horses. But again, it's like we've got the greyhounds across the river from us, but we don't have any horses.
Ain't it horses in Hot Springs?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I saw
Lee
the arena.
Lee is closer to it than we are.
I was gonna say, I think Lee, you've probably been to the horse tracks in Hot Springs, Oakland.
Yeah, been a few times, and I will say it will cause relationship problems. We'll just throw that out there. Which all of this will cause relationship problems. But and it's real easy to go bet $2, have a good time, but you can get into some major trouble with the ponies as well.
Oh yeah, that's what we do have. Someone who's kind of the exception to the rule. We know someone very well who a few years back went to the Derby, placed a $25 bet on a horse because he liked the name, Charismatic, and ended up winning $10,000.
$25
turned into $10,000.
That's
all because of a name.
Do I know this person?
Yes, you do.
Oh,
Yeah.
Spill the tea, Katie.
It's exception to the rule, so this is not a norm.
But Charismatic, he's an interesting horse. I remember watching the race. I remember watching all three of those races because the one thing I do watch is the one time I do actually pay attention to horse racing is during the Triple Crown, and so I watched the Derby and he won at the Derby, and then I watched Preakness and he won at Preakness, and then I watched Belmont Stakes and he was winning. And then at the very end, I thought he's going to win. He's got the Triple Crown. It was his. And at the very end, he pulled up lame. And I just cannot believe that to this day, so frequently we lose these giant, gorgeous animals because they break their leg. And they were talking about, will he survive? Will he survive? And they're talking about him surviving a broken leg. And he is actually a feel-good story because basically he did survive, but he could never race again. So he spent he was only 3 years old when he broke his leg. He spent the rest of his life as a stud. He basically spent the next like 14 years as a stud, and that was, and that was all he had to do, was walk around the field and chew some grass and be a stud.
Court, what does being a stud mean?
I mean, I'm just saying.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, my Lanta Lord. Okay, so Lee kind of already mentioned this, that it can lead to relationship issues. So let's boil it down. Let's talk about what gambling is. Gambling is all around us. Like, I started researching for this episode and was like, okay, Leo in Titanic, he was playing a poker game. That's how he got his ride onto the Titanic. Now, did he make a safe bet with that? Because, yeah, he got on the boat, he met Kate Winslet, but then there was no room on the door for him. So, did he win in the end? I don't know. It's
I haven't seen this movie yet, so please don't ruin it for me.
Okay.
We bring up that scene in Titanic a lot on this podcast.
So, gambling, also called betting, is the wagering of money or something of value, the stakes, or on an event with uncertain outcome, with the primary intent of winning money or material goods. Gambling requires 3 elements to be present: consideration, which would be the amount wagered, risk, your chance, and a prize. So, okay, you got 3 elements to it. Sounds, but most people sit there and think, okay, I don't ever gamble. But a lot of us are around gambling more than we ever think.
Well, I mean, if you think about those 3 elements, let's just start with something as simple as bingo.
Yeah.
That's gambling. It's often legal gambling. But another thing that a lot of places don't allow is starts with a C. What is it when you buy a ticket and you could win a prize? It's a thing.
Raffle.
No. Yes, it is a raffle, but
I don't know what starts with a C.
I could be completely wrong. It may not start with a C. We'll go with raffle. Anyway, when you buy a raffle ticket and then you potentially win like a DVD player or something.
Yeah.
A lot of places don't allow raffles.
Yeah, you have to have special licensing for events and stuff like that to do that. So legal gambling has been around for a long time. The legal gambling market totaling an estimate of $335 billion in 2009. I know you're going, okay, that's 2009. I'm telling you from a reference, that's what it was in 2009, $335 billion. It's definitely in the trillions by now.
It's certainly higher than that.
Much
now.
higher.
Just considering,
Yeah, the outcome from gambling games may be determined by chance alone, such as rolling a dice, a ball. But a lot of it goes into the physical skill, the training, the athletics, the combination of strategy and chance. I mean, you look at all these pop culture movies, you look at a day-to-day, you may use in a phrase like, oh, I bet you this. You may not be actually exchanging money for it, but a lot of people probably in a week's time have made a bet in some way. You may bet with your children. You may, whatever it is. I know Lee and I actually, several years back, got roped into doing a thing called Diet Bet. It was an app that someone would host, and they invite you to it, and you bet on yourself, essentially, that you were going to lose this weight, and you had to check in or something like that, and there was like a pot. Chime in, Lee. Help me out with this.
Yeah, but I forgot how much you put in. You put in a certain amount, and the people that hit that goal that they put out there for you to hit gets a percentage of the pot.
Yeah.
And some fail. Some. When money's involved and there's a bet for me to lose weight, that's the only way I can lose weight.
Amen, brother.
And I did it, and I hit the goal, and I won like $3 over my initial entry fee. We won't call it a bet. We'll call it an entry fee. And it's still sitting in there. I haven't cashed it out or gone back through to do anything. So they probably took my $27 and have gone to the dog track. I don't know.
But hey, you lost some weight.
Yeah.
Well, it came back.
It found him. So, you think about it, life insurance is a form of gambling. A bet that one will die within a certain period of time.
It's a form of gambling for, the person who's paying for the life insurance.
Yeah.
You're basically giving the life insurance company some money and saying, like, here you go. I bet, the for the life insurance company, it's very much mathematical.
Yeah.
For them, they're like, oh, you're this old, we're going to charge you this much because we're going to bet that mathematically, the majority of the people live this long when they're your age and your health. And so they've got it figured out to where ultimately they're not losing money. They're not betting against you,
I mean, every time I run out of gas, I'm gambling, trying to decide, okay, because I didn't go and get the gas. Like, I may now be stuck with having to call a tow truck to come get me, or having to go walk to the gas station and buy a gas can and buy the gas.
To God, Katie, for your birthday, I'm going to buy you a gas canister for you to keep in the back of your truck.
What we're saying is you can gamble and bet at any time, at any place. You can really bet on about anything. Vegas Vacation really taught that when he walks into that casino at the end and there's just like, pick a number and just ridiculous games out there. But what we want to talk about, gambling can lead to some major financial issues, some relationship issues, if you choose to overindulge.
Luck be a lady tonight.
Lee, do you know anything about people who've overindulged with gambling?
No, I do not know anyone that has overindulged in gambling. We'll just call him a friend of mine.
Okay.
But yes, everything you said is true. You will go into the casino, you can go in and go out and be okay if you stay away from the ATM and credit cards and all that stuff. That's where a lot of people get in trouble. But the most people that I've known that have gotten into real financial trouble is more of the illegal gambling, bookies and that such a thing, because you don't have to put money up front in that situation.
Oh.
So you get into more trouble with the illegal side more than you do with the casino gambling, betting at the sports book at the casino, where you have to put your money up front.
So you walk into a casino and walk up to the bookmaker at the casino and say, "I'd like to place $1 million bet on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning the Super Bowl." The casino is going to say, "Okay, let me see the $1 million."
Exactly. You have to pay it up front unless you're, Tom Cruise or something who has $1 million.
Yeah, unless you're a preferred client.
Right.
Yeah. Well, so speaking of casinos and stuff, they've been around since the 17th century. It was the 20th century that they became commonplace, and really it was established character of a place if they were allowed to have one. Vegas having it, New Jersey, Tunica, and New Orleans all had to be like by water and all of this. And it wasn't until the 21st century that we started seeing gambling really on our TVs and on our internet with the poker tournaments and the online betting and gambling, and that it was so easy. You didn't have to go to Vegas. You didn't have to go to these different places. It was sitting in the comfort of your living room. Yeah. So actually the story that got brought up was about Bugsy. I mentioned about him that he really helped out with a lot of Vegas booming.
Well,
sure.
I mean, okay, so I don't know the exact dates of Bugsy, like when it took place in the timeline, but basically, organized crime was making a bunch of money off of bootleg liquor, and then bootleg liquor was no longer bootleg liquor because it was legalized again.
Prohibition was done.
Yeah, so they had to find a new source of income, and so their new source of income really until I guess the 70s, 80s, 90s when drugs really got big on the scene. Up until illicit drugs were a real big thing and a real big profit spot, the way that they made their money was gambling. That's how organized crime started raking in their bucks.
Yeah, they found a gold mine for sure. So when you think of casino, the house always wins. When you walk in, you're walking into the world's largest mathematics lab. It is a big game of probability, which is, the movie 21 with those MIT people. That's why you hear about these card counters. They're usually incredibly intelligent people that are playing the math game.
I have a group of friends that get together and play. They get together and play poker, and I was talking to one of them about who was the best player among the group. And, again, I'm thinking to this idea that I have in my head of Matt Damon being able to sit down at a table and read people. And I'm sure that has a lot to do with your success when you're gambling, when you're playing cards specifically is what I'm talking about now. And he said, yeah, absolutely. Being able to read person, being able to keep from showing what hand you're holding is very important to it. But knowing the odds, knowing the probability, knowing what your chances are of drawing certain cards and having a certain winning hand.
Understanding the risk versus reward.
And that's the guy that he said was the best player at the table, was the guy that knew what the probability was. He knew the chances of, okay, I've got this card and this card in my hand. What are the chances that I'm actually going to turn this into a straight or a flush or a straight flush or whatever?
Well, and that seems to be a common thing of guys having like poker night, and it's, are you playing for just the fake chips and you're having for fun? I think, Lee is my cousin, and we always do a family reunion, and my mom tells a story. I don't think I was involved with it, but that Lee and my brother and Stuart were all playing poker, and Granny was so upset, but weren't y'all using like chocolate chip cookies for your betting or something like that?
Yeah, or matches or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so they were playing the nice way. They weren't actually losing money on it. Okay, Cam and Lee and Court, what are the 2 things you will never find in a casino?
A clock.
Uh-huh.
And I can't remember the other.
A window.
No windows.
They do not want you to know what time it is, or if it's not, like, they don't want you to be able to see outside. They pump oxygen in there. They have it bright. David Pickler tells a story about how he was in Vegas with my brother, and I don't know how old he was. Probably,
I think he said he was 12.
12, yeah. He was 12, and of course, people under 18 can't be in the casino side of it.
Oh, 21.
Or 21,
right?
yeah, 21.
Okay.
And so they had this great arcade in the casino, and so I think it was something that my dad and brother were about to walk to the casino, and someone stopped and said, oh, he can't come in. And he's like, oh, okay, well, never mind. And so they saw, oh, we're about to lose this guy to be able to play. So they ended up, the security guard gave my brother a bunch of like tokens or something to go to the arcade. So I said, oh, he'll be fine. Go over there. And my brother said, he went through, of course, he's a big gamer and kind of a nerd. And so he went through and was like, like rattling through all of those coins, playing all the games, started to walk out to go find my dad. And one of the security guards is like, here, and handed him a bunch more because they knew, like, do not go bother your father. He's going and spending money right now. So they are very intelligent with what they're doing. And it is the art of manipulation, of not letting you know what time it is by having it bright. I will admit I've only been to Vegas once, and I was very disappointed because I had in my mind a casino like Monte Carlo. And I have been to Monte Carlo Casino now, so I've seen it. It's stunning. But I expected Vegas and Tunica to be like Monte Carlo, and just everyone was dressed to the nines, and it was just this beautiful place to be. And instead it's just smoky and people in tracksuits and oxygen tanks.
So flip-flops and tank tops are not dressed to the nines?
No.
Basically, if you turned Walmart into a casino.
Yeah, I mean,
well, I'll never go to Monte Carlo then.
Well, I mean, basically Americans, most Americans that are going to casinos, they're going for as much, the majority of the people are going for a night of entertainment. They're not going because they're hardcore gamblers. They're going for a night of entertainment. So they want the
buffet.
slot machines, they want the buffet, they want the, whatever. Maybe they're going to see a show down there or whatever. One of my favorite New Year's Eves that I've ever celebrated, I actually celebrated at a casino, and I didn't do a bit of gambling. I was just at a bar watching a band play all night, but it was absolutely fun. And then, on top of that, you're able to just walk back to your hotel room. And so,
yeah, I'm not knocking it. I mean,
no, but I'm just saying, they're going for the full experience. They're going for that full entertainment. And so, they're looking for some freebies, and they're looking to be comfortable and sort of just
because if you're sitting at the slot machine, then you can order a drink. And if you're playing at the tables, they may offer you like buffet coupons, or if you're really good, they may offer you a hotel stay, or there's different perks that go with it. And when you go to each of the different hotels, you can get this card that makes you a member, and you get perks from it. And So they're top level of customer service trying to take care of you.
Absolutely.
But you said something, Corey. You said entertainment.
Yeah.
So when you walk into a casino, you kind of, unless, well, no, anybody really needs to do this, honestly. Mm-hmm. You need to look at it as a night of entertainment. If you decide you are going to gamble, then, say that you were going to go to a concert. By the time you've bought the tickets, you've bought the expensive food, you pay for parking, maybe your wife's like me and you got to buy her a new outfit and like whatever it may be. So you've spent, say, $500. Okay, so that's $500 you're spending on entertainment. So if you walk into the casino and you say, for tonight's entertainment of the casino, I want to spend $500. Now, whether that $500 lasts you 2 minutes or 5 hours, who knows?
That's your budget. Got to stick to it.
You got to stick to it, because that's what I think happens is, I know I've gone to the casino and I've said I'm only going to spend $100, and I'll go and blow it on a slot machine, and then I've got friends that are actually playing the tables, and I've blown it in 5 minutes and they still want to stay, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, if you're good at something like blackjack or poker or something like that you can play and actually sustain sustain yourself for a while, then you can stay for a long time. But slot machines can eat your money fast. A lot of people will stay at the craps table all night, and the casino loves the craps table because, man, people get loud at the craps table. And the casinos love anything that makes happy, excited noises. That's why all those slot machines ding, 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 and they love it when people are at the craps table cheering on somebody who's on a hot streak. Doing stuff like that, if you know how to bet and place your bets, you can make it last a little while. I personally was always very intimidated by craps, but very early on in my casino going life, like the whenever I turned 21 and went to a casino for the first time, the first quote unquote table game that I found that I actually understood and could play was roulette.
Ah.
And I won big at the roulette table. I put a $5 chip on a black 35, and it was just on that 35, and it hit on 35, and so that's a huge payoff. That's 35 to 1 odds on a $5 bet. And after that, I can't not place a bet at a roulette table, because in my mind there's always that chance that I might just hit it again that one time. This was very, very, I had been in the casino maybe 10 minutes when I placed this bet. And it's locked into my head now. Must go play roulette, will win much money. It just sort of consumes you.
Yeah.
I actually got in trouble on my honeymoon because we were on a cruise ship. And on the cruise ship, they would let you charge your chips to the room.
Oh, yes.
And I charged like $50 to the room for chips so that I could go play roulette, and lost it, and then went back and charged $50 more so that I could go play some more, and lost that too. And $100 to me and my brand new wife at that time was just all the money in the world.
Yeah. And so that's where the relationship issues came up. Yeah.
So it can be tough. I do stay away from roulette now, and also cruise ships with casinos.
And gambling issues can happen to good people, and it creeps up on you. We actually had a client that we had to help. He got in deep with the casino, and he had a credit built up, and they would actually send cars to come pick him up, and we had to get a legal document drafted that he signed that was sent to the casinos of cease communication, this, relationship needs to be done. And it was because it was starting to eat into his livelihood. And that's where it's an issue. If you look at this as entertainment and you know how much you can afford to spend, but the second, like Lee said, the second you start going to the ATM, that's when you're starting to get into things. Clark in Vegas Vacation, he gambled away the family's savings of over $22,000, all because he was engrossed with Vegas and loved it, and just that glitter and glam. He just kept doing it. As Cam said, he used his last $2 on the game of Keno. He didn't win, but the guy next to him won, and then he died. And Clark was like, oh, I'm not going to take the ticket. And then right before he was about to get run over by the vacuum cleaner, he got it. And so, yes, it ended happy, but did Clark really learn his lesson?
No, but Clark never learns his lesson.
No. Okay, before we move on to sports betting, Lee, anything else about casinos?
Well, I will. Court brought up a good point. Where he charged $50 to the room and then charged another 50. That's the one thing that gets people in so much trouble. We're like, okay, I'm going with $100. Well, they lose that so fast. Well, I got to win that money back. Mm-hmm. So they go and get another $100. They lose that. Well, I've got to get that $200 back now. And that's where a lot of people get in trouble with their finances. And back to Clark Griswold, there's a line that I'm not going to quote, but that's what I started doing, is going to the casino, give them $50 and just tell them to punch me in the stomach. Just get it over with.
That's so true. Okay, sports betting. So this has been going on for a very long time, just as with casinos. Like I feel like every boxing movie, like the old nitty gritty boxing movies you see, people are betting, and it's on dogs, on boxing, baseball, horses, hockey, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I mean, as long as there have been sports, there have probably been people betting on sports. Right back to when knights were jousting against each other, there were probably people placing bets on the knights.
Yeah. So
it's always been a thing.
I didn't realize that sports betting is only legal in 25 states right now. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, that increase has been relatively recent. I mean, a lot of states have just recently authorized it, and it's all through online betting. That's where it all comes from.
Yeah, let me tell you, FanDuel came to Tennessee a few months ago, and I got an account, and they were having a deal, I guess, for new bettors. Mm-hmm. So I bet $5 on the Titans game, and they won, and I got $130.
Woo!
And you know what I did as soon as I withdrew that money? I deleted the app. Because I was hooked. I wanted to bet on everything. And my wife is like, delete it. Lee, have you used any apps like DraftKings or FanDuel?
Yeah, I have used DraftKings. I think it was the first one that came out. So I got on that. And I think, is that more of the fantasy sports thing?
That's how they started.
Yep.
Yeah, that's definitely how they started.
And that's what I played was, you play another person and you put up $5-10 and you draft your team with so many, they have a value. So you draft your team and then whoever wins the thing.
Yeah.
But as far as, I've done sports betting online and, I haven't done it in a casino yet, but it just recently came to Mississippi. So and I don't think Arkansas has it yet, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, most of the sports betting that I've done have been with, this is years ago, so hopefully I won't get in trouble for this, but,
it was years ago, we know, okay.
It was years and years ago. Just local people were bookies, and that's who we would, place bets with, and you can get in trouble real quick with that.
Well, and the principle of it, you're sitting there thinking you are betting on people. And, Court, you were talking about the horse that just unfortunately broke his leg, and that's just the end of it. And so we're hoping that these athletes are their heads in the game and that they want to win this game and they didn't just have a bad day, or, we're hoping they're okay. And so it's crazy, but I can see how, Cam, I don't know if I'd have the same willpower as you if I'd turned $5 into $135.
Yeah.
I don't think I could stop that. That's really nice.
Consider just recently the fact that our NC2A tournament ended, basketball tournament ended, and Gonzaga, or Gorgonzola as I like to call them, was an undefeated team going into the national championship game. And I went to bed and didn't even think about checking the score because I just figured Baylor was in it for the first time in ever, I think. Yeah. And I just figured, Gorgonzola's got this locked up. Wake up the next morning and their cheese on a salad. They lost. They got killed. They got shredded. They are shredded Gorgonzola on a salad. That's how bad they got beat by Baylor. So,
wow.
And the first thing I thought to myself was, wow, I guess they had a bad night, but thank goodness I didn't bet on them.
Oh, gosh. Well, so when you talk about sports betting, you can't not talk about the 1919 World Series. So the Cardinal Rule of Baseball, thou shalt not gamble on baseball. And we have this epic story of, they actually did a movie, 8 Men Out. It was the Black Sox scandal. Members of the Chicago White Sox, which included legend Shoeless Joe Jackson, threw the World Series to gamblers. It's just, yeah, that is a story that a lot of people talk about. Lee, I know you're a baseball fan, so anything about the 8 Men Out?
Shoeless Joe is innocent. He took the money, but he had you can't prove that he threw that game like some of the others did. But yeah, I mean, but that goes through all the sports that people are paid to shave points or to put a guy out, or even referees were paid to call fouls or get people to the line, score more points, and so that goes on in every sport.
Yeah, I was sitting there thinking about I don't know if you guys have seen it. Your wives have probably seen it, but the Bridgerton show that was on Netflix. There was a whole episode on that where the guy's a boxer and he got, coerced to throw the game or throw the match. And so it's all for money. And so this has been going on forever. It's sports betting is in lots of our movies and our TV shows, and it's in real life. So Pete Rose, that's another one when you talk about gambling.
I don't know. My thing with Pete Rose is this. If I have the story correct, because I apologize to Lee and to David, who I know is listening and will certainly have his head explode as soon as I say this, but I'm not a giant baseball fan, so I don't follow it as closely as I do football or anything like that, boxing, whatever. But as I understand the story, Pete Rose basically after his baseball career as a player was over, he was managing a team, and he was managing the Reds. And he placed a bet, which is granted against the rules. It was against all of the Major League Baseball rules. You're not supposed to bet. You're not supposed to place bets on the. But he did. He placed a bet. The entire idea behind this, in my mind, in terms of these rules against betting on your sport, is you don't want to bet against yourself and then throw the game. So, there's this logic. You keep people from betting because if they can bet against themselves, and then the outcome is in their control. So you want to prevent that. So you just say no betting at all. Mm-hmm. Well, in the case of Pete Rose, he did bet. So he broke the rules. That's bad. He's a bad boy. But he bet on himself, basically. If I understand what he was doing, he was betting for the Reds to win games. So he was betting. He was basically saying, like, yes, I'm betting, but I'm betting on myself. And to me, that's like, yeah, you're breaking the rules, but you're not in that case. The sport is not in danger of the person who placed the bet fixing a game, because there's no way you can fix it to win. You either win or you're out some money. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents.
Lee?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Yeah, he bet on his team to win. He had that much confidence in his team that he bet. Yes, it's against the rules and he's banned for life, but I feel like he should still be in the Hall of Fame just for his actions on the field and not really off the field. But he was told to stop. He didn't do it, so therefore that's why he got in as much trouble as he did. But he was betting on other teams. He did have, he probably did have inside information. But, he did always bet on the Reds. So, it's like you said, I mean, it's a different story if he's betting against his team and can throw the game. You can't make yourself win. You can only hope to win.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, you heard it here. Bullcast says Shoeless Joe Jackson is innocent and Pete Rose is innocent. That's what I heard.
Put him in the hall.
Okay. Well, so David Pickler was telling us these two people that I didn't realize were big gamblers, Phil Mickelson and Michael Jordan.
No, I did not know that Phil Mickelson was a big gambler.
I didn't either, but I knew Michael Jordan from the documentary.
Yeah, and Lee, I think you said you had a story about gambling and Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Jordan is notorious for gambling. playing golf, and I mean he's been to the Tunica casinos before. Back in his basketball days, when they were in town, he was known to go down there. But I don't know if it's legal for me to tell you how this came about, but this is great coming from a mayor talking about legal or illegal. But with my other job that pays the bills, I had a person on my little route that I carry the mail, and he got a package in one day, and he had to sign for it, so I had to take it to the door. And he's like, "Hey, do you want to see what's in here?" And I'm like, "No, sir, I'm not allowed to know. I'm brand new to this. I'm young. I'm 20 years old. No, sir, I can't ask you these questions because that's against the rules." And he's like, "No, take a look at this." And he pulls out one of Michael Jordan's championship rings that he lost in a golf game to a guy.
Oh.
And so this guy was selling his ring, selling the ring for the guy, for like $20,000 or something. But I physically held Michael Jordan's ring that he bet on himself in a golf match and lost to a guy.
That's incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
So even the elites like Michael Jordan are, tempted by gambling. Goodness. Okay, well, so we are a financial podcast, so we've got to address gambling versus investing because that is something that
a lot of people do say. You probably have heard, investing is in the stock market is just like gambling or something like that.
Yeah, and it's true. Both involve risk and choice, specifically the risk of capital with hopes of future profit. But gambling is typically short-lived, while investing, equities, they can last a lifetime.
There is a risk when you invest, but, we're all about mitigating that risk.
Yeah. If you're gambling, you have fewer ways to mitigate the loss than an investor does. An investor has more sources, more information than a gambler does. Mm-hmm. Over time, the odds will be much more in your favor as an investor than it would be as a gambler. And honestly, a lot of times typically you should, when you're investing, you should have someone who
you're seeking someone's advice.
Yes, is out for the best interest of you.
Well, absolutely out
fiduciary.
Fiduciary, yes. But
we love that word.
A bookie, a person who's trying to get you to gamble it's going to be like that friend of yours, like, yeah, do it. Yeah, come on, do it.
Like
they're not going to tell you, hey, don't pull more money out of your ATM. They're not going to tell you the good advice.
They're not out. The people that are taking your bets in gambling, whether it's a bookie that's just running a private book, I won't say illegal, but a private book, or a bookkeeper at a casino or one of those apps or whatever, they are not taking your bets because they have any intention of ever losing money.
Yeah.
The house always wins. Mm-hmm. Why? Because if you place a sports bet, again, they give you odds. Yeah. They're like, okay, you bet $1, and if you bet $5, and if you win, I'll give you $1. That's.
It's back to that diet bet thing that Lee did.
Yeah.
The more, like my friend that was running it, the more people that signed up, the better the pot got. So of course these gamblers are wanting to get more and more people, because that's how every bet is. The odds get better. The more you see it when you go to a Cowboys game and they're like, oh, our pot has gotten to this, like be sure to buy your ticket for a chance to win this large amount. And so you sit there and go, oh, I could possibly win $25,000. But they keep enticing more and more people to do it, so the number grows, but that's lessening your chances even more every time.
And so the odds are not ever in your favor.
This is not... Yep, Hunger Games. Moral of the story with all of this, gambling should be done in moderation, and you should understand the money you're playing with. Don't go and play with your college savings account for your kid. Don't get the savings money out. Don't hide it from your spouse. I mean, if you've set a budget that you've said, oh, you've got, X amount of dollars each month that's entertainment, then just know, like, part of that's going to be your entertainment money. The reality is, and we didn't want to get into this episode, if there is somebody that's having gambling problems, you do need to seek advice and get help from someone. And that's something you look at the financial burden of it. If there is someone in your family that is having gambling issues, then you need to make sure you're protecting yourself in case those creepy little creditors come after you, or those illegal bookies start showing up your door wanting your money, because that could happen.
Well, I think asset separation in the illegal world of debt
well, that
collection,
may not. Yeah.
They may not so much care whether your assets are legally separated. But in the legal world, yes. If you are tied in, if you're wrapped up with someone who has serious issues because of gambling debt, then you need to seriously consider if you need to unravel your financial circumstances so that they can't lose everything that you've got.
And it's, gambling happens and it creeps up really easily on you, because like the last couple episodes we talked about when my spending problem of, before you know it, you've racked it up, and those, $50 more, $50 more, it starts adding up, and before you blink, you've realized, I've just spent $500 on sports betting, but you think, but I've won $200, so I'm doing good. But you need to look at, gains and losses and really figure out what money has actually been spent. But okay, are we ready to bullseye this up? We're
gonna do a special edition bullseye. We're gonna let Lee have a bullseye as well.
Yes.
So let's wrap this up. We'll give 3 bullseyes. What are our 3 takeaways for this week? Okay, so my bullseye this week is basically, there are a lot of fun ways that you can gamble, and there are a lot of fun ways that you can have fun with gambling, but
sounds like a book title.
You're not gambling to try and make money. You're not trying to make your fortune through gambling unless you're playing poker on the World Series of Poker and you're really that good. Most people are not going to a casino because they're hoping to walk away with a lot of money. You don't go to the casino because you're hoping that you're going to be able to make that next house payment. That's not why you gamble. You gamble for entertainment. You invest, and granted, you're exposing yourself to some risk of losing money. But if you talk to the right people and you invest properly, you're not exposing yourself to the type of risk of loss that you expose yourself to when you go to a casino. Because basically, you need to go to a casino with the mindset that you have $500 that you don't mind spending tonight. You don't mind basically walking into the casino, losing every single dime of it, and walking back out. But our goal as financial advisors, if you bring us $500, is not for you to walk away with $0 at the end of the day. We can't make any guarantees. And I know I always say that. We can't make any guarantees. But our goal is to actually grow that money and to mitigate your risk and to take that $500 and turn it into something more. There is risk involved with investing, but it's not like gambling if you're talking to the right people. Bullseye.
Can I just say ditto? I mean, wow, that took everything. But no, okay, I will echo off of Court. Yes, it is one of those that if you enjoy gambling or betting, build it into your budget, make it part of your entertainment budget, and just make sure you know what's that amount you're going to spend, where that money's coming from, and that it fits into your budget. If you're struggling to make ends meet, cut this. This is the first thing to cut, because it really is throwing away your money. But it's also a way to look at it as if you were going to go to a concert or something like that and spend the same amount of money, then you know that this money could be spent on just a different form of entertainment. So look at it that way. But as always, be smart and stay away from the ATMs when you get there. Bullseye. And Lee, you're up. What's your bullseye?
So is this an intervention, or am I really a guest?
You're a guest.
Yeah, what they said, basically. Don't go into it thinking that you're going to make the next house payment. You're going to win the next house payment. Don't think you're going to go get rich quick, because the odds are stacked against you in every single form or fashion when it comes to gambling. The house will win. Yes, you may win a little bit here or there, but the house will always win, and they want you to come back and give them their money back that you've won. So, budget's just like going out to eat, going shopping, budget it, play it safe, go and have fun, and just use it as entertainment. Now, there is one, I don't gamble anymore, except for when it comes to the sports card world. And that wasn't brought up, but that is a big deal now, to where these cards these sports cards are selling, the boxes are selling for outrageous amounts of money, and people are buying them in hopes of getting a $10,000, $5,000 card out of it. And the odds are stacked against you. Yeah, you'll get lucky every now and then. I've gotten lucky, but that's my big handicap right now is I want to open these packs and I want to find the next big card. So that's another dangerous slope, another slippery slope to go down when it comes to gambling, because it is just a gamble when it comes to sports cards. I'm speaking from experience.
Man.
Budget. Don't take your credit cards. Don't take your debit cards. Take your cash that you want to play with at the casino. And once it's gone, you get your honey and you hit the card and you go home.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is the closing bell.
We want to thank Lee for being on the show. Hope you'll come back and maybe we'll have another episode and talk about plenty of stuff. But
we said over and over again that when we did the collectibles episode, we were going to have Lee on, but we couldn't. We didn't find this nifty phone-in gadget until just a little bit ago, and we'd already done the collectibles episode at that point. But Lee brought up the cards at the end, and I was like, man, bringing it back around to collectibles there at the end. Bingo.
So we'll have to do a part 2, I guess.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. It's been a blast, and thanks for, every episode that I listen to, it comes back to me and doing, not smart things with my money. So, keep up the good work with the podcast.
Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, now you've made it to the end of yet another episode of the Bullcast podcast. If you liked what you heard and you haven't heard us before, you haven't already subscribed, then please feel free to go to your favorite subscription service and sign up so that our voices can be beamed directly into your ears once a week on Thursday, every Thursday. You can also leave us a message on our website. That website is bullcastpodcast.com. And if you'd like to see some pictures of us, there are some pictures on the website. You can also leave us a message suggesting a topic that you'd like to hear us discuss. Speaking of pictures, we also have an Instagram handle. That Instagram handle is @bullcastpodcast. And we like to put the words on the Twitters. And the Twitter handle is @bullcastpodcast as well. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, if you've heard me say it once, you've heard me say it approximately 47 times now. We work at a place called Pickler Wealth Advisors, and if you would like to find out more about, me and Katie, and also more about our amazing team and our amazing boss, David Pickler, you can check out our company at picklerwealthadvisors.com. That is always advisors with an O, not an E. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I've given you quite enough to be going on with, so for now, I'm Court.
I'm Katie.
And we are Audi.